So hi everyone, welcome to our session. We'll start with a little bit of introduction. I'm Siggy, I'm a co-founder of Optima. I came from a long background in ERP consulting and integration, and then Salesforce consulting, and of course it comes with integration to ERP. So this subject specifically is very close to my heart.
Hey everyone, my name is Bhupendra Patel. I lead the solution engineering practice for order management across EMEA and UKI, Brexit, so we have to separate that. Salesforce-wise, I've been around Salesforce for 7 years, but in terms of commerce and integration, it's roughly just over 20 years in that fun space.
Awesome. Michael Janney, I'm with Salesforce. I lead the industry advisor practice for manufacturing here for EMEA for commercial space, and I'm a former CIO. I love ERPs so much that I never wanted to be a CIO again. My partners and I sold the company that I was part owner of in 2018. I joined Salesforce to help build out this practice to be able to work with customers, advise customers, and work with partners like Optima and enosix in situations to help really facilitate transformation within organizations. I've done it in 4 or 5 different organizations globally throughout my 30-plus year career in technology.
Awesome. Javed Panjwani, great to be here. I run strategy and business development in enosix, previously at Salesforce. Spent 6 years there working with tier 1 customers, some of them Cisco, HPE, a little ride-hailing app called Uber, working with them on transformation, on business change, how to create experiences for the customer. Started my career with Andersen Consulting back in the day when it was called Andersen Consulting, now Accenture, with SAP implementations. I bring both SAP, Salesforce, and lots of integration work that I've done with Deloitte and Cognizant. So great to be here. Looking forward to the conversation and bringing some real-life examples of how to transform. So back to you, Siggy.
Thank you. So we'll focus our session today on order management and integration to SAP with the great tool that enosix is bringing to the table. We'll talk. So I'll start with talking a little bit about pain points, and when we're talking about order management, there is the model that we know about for Salesforce of OMS, but it also comes with field service, all the order management of orders coming from the field and to customers. It also with CPQ. So any type of integration with SAP, especially when it comes to order, has a lot of pain points, and we're listing some of them here. We'll talk a little bit more about it when we in the panel. But a lot of customers will just call in to see where is their order. And to answer that, the operator may have to look at a few different systems. It's not very intuitive. There are a lot of questions of how do I change an order? I've put in an order. How do I change it? How does it? Do I have to change it in this system? Do I have to swivel chair in another system? Which system? So all these are actual pain points. I was an IT director in a company. I felt it on my own skin. And of course, pricing, inventory visibility. What's the ETA for a specific order? What's available to promise? All this is something that we'll be talking about today. And the last thing that I want to mention is what happens when you have multiple orgs. So some customers are lucky. They're small. They have one SAP, one Salesforce, but a lot of customers will have multiple ERP systems that they need to deal with.
So from field, from my own experience, and Siggy was talking about it, not only customers calling in to say, hey, where's my order? It's the internal sales team calling customer service to say, hey, I'm going to go visit this customer. Where's my order for the customer? What's the status of it? I know my customer service team would then have to swivel chair. We had 14 ERPs at one point. I whittled it down to 4, but they would still have to log in, figure out what division it was coming from, log into that platform, pull up order history. Hopefully they had the order number, or they'd have to go find it. So a lot of wasted time in that part of the process, just understanding answering the simple question of where's my order. Like you don't think about it, but that's such a huge efficiency waster when systems aren't tied together and people have to swivel chair and log in. And I know up there it's 50%. I think for mine, internally, it was about 70% of the calls coming in my customer service team was from internal salespeople, internal inquiries as to where my order is. So just deflecting that was a big change for my organization. And then the disconnected silos, I think, 13 clicks, I guess. Yeah, that could be right. I don't know how many clicks it would take someone in my organization to be able to do that, but that's probably pretty accurate. And again, it's just figuring out all these different platforms, and then later on when you're talking about things, I'll chime in on. Yesterday we had talking with customers about the same thing, not specific to SAP and enosix integration, but I'll give a really real life example. It just happened with I shared yesterday with my daughter's boot. From an order perspective, and just efficiencies wasted, money wasted from if I put my business owner hat back on, I can't believe it costs that much to figure out where an order is, and hopefully the information was right, because maybe they wrote it down on a notepad to answer the phone, to call the person back, and maybe they read it wrong. So just giving that real-time order history information that's accurate was a huge step forward for me in my organization.
Unlike yesterday, we had a session, and we had a fantastic anecdote from a customer. So if we go to the next slide, how many people in the audience resonate with that type of screen from your customers or partners being able to seeing when a customer tries to understand, or a service agent or sales rep tries to answer a simple question around where's my order? On the right-hand side, you've got a perfect example of a manufacturing customer, trying to answer that single question. And that's the basic question of all, which is, where is my order? We like to call that WISMO. It's a phrase that's been picked up quite a lot over the last year or so. But this is an example where Mike talked about where there's so many systems in place. This was a manufacturing customer and their screen for the service agent. This was how many sticky tabs they have. The sticky tabs represent the number of information that they need to find out about that specific order. And the journey of an order isn't just about delivering from A to B, from checkout to door. There's actually the information related to the order, the number of items in the order, the quantity, the pricing, the invoicing, the fulfillment, shipping to, picking up, buying online, pick up in store. There's multiple complexities around this. Mm-hmm. And this is a perfect example of, on average, let's say 13 clicks to get an answer. But typically with this, typically from a manufacturing, we see at least 5 to 15 systems that a service agent needs to go through or navigate through to answer that one question. But coming back to Mike's point earlier around that sales rep, in a manufacturing scenario, we see multiple examples where the sales rep is actually the first touch point for that service agent to get the answer to where is my customer's order. And it's not so easy. And all those manual processes that come in adds to time, cost, and wastage. We're no longer servicing the customer. We're spending time in the back end going through a plethora of data. And I think the best quote that we had yesterday was from the training. Yeah. So being able to unify this whole experience into one single view, one customer was able to, go from 3 months of training to 2 minutes. Let us train an agent once they've got the data in one single place. It's a spoiler alert for my slide in a couple of seconds. But they went from 3 months to training someone to find that one answer. Forget the rest of the questions around how to cancel my order, how to change an order, exchange, RMAs. I haven't even talked about order entry. That's its own complexity in its own right.
Yeah. And I would add, how many of you have gotten training on Amazon.com? Right? You don't need training, but we do a lot of complex things on there. We look at the order, we change, we do RMAs, if you get damaged, if stuff gets stolen, you can figure things out. And I think that's what we all expect a system to do. And I think it's a pity that when you're buying a box of 10 diapers, the experience is fantastic, right? Bree, we were talking, you have 3 kids, right? You know about that experience. It's fantastic, right? But you put an order for a $15 million elevator or a $20 million system, and it's a horrible experience, right? Thank you. And it should not be the case. It should be reverse. It should be a pain in the butt to buy diapers, and it should be awesome.
Literally.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. No pun intended, especially for a child. But it should be awesome and easy to get your $15 million order. And it should tell you where it is. You shouldn't have to chase it down. You shouldn't have to call anybody. It should find you where you are. And I think that's the experience we want to create. And the good thing is the technology is there. The question is the will there and is the vision there to bring it to the people. So sorry, I didn't mean to, but I think it's
exactly. And
Very
a
valid.
customer working on Salesforce communities
right.
can get all this information very easily. Even with a bot, you don't even need an agent, right? You have an order number. They can tell what is the ETA for this order. Was it shipped yet? If it's not shipped, what's the tracking information? Where is it on the map? So the technology is here. And we need to, everybody needs to implement it.
Yep.
And within the keynote yesterday, we saw, how many people saw the keynote yesterday, first of all? You would have seen the notion of like a data island and how Data Cloud being able to bring a single view, unified view of that customer. In the previous screen, we had systems of engagement or systems of record, whether that's ERP, whether it's WMS, whether it's other 15, 20 other systems. One customer yesterday said to us she had 14 systems that they had to go through to find the answer to all the questions they need related to just where's my order and what's in that order itself. So what we try to do in a simple world is actually, if we go to the next slide now, is unify that experience, okay? With order management, with Salesforce Order Management, we've gone with an API-first architecture. That means it can be decoupled from anything, okay? By being able to create simple hooks to any form of data stream, we're able to connect to all those systems, whether it's WMS, ERP, whatever that may be, and Javed will go into that in a lot more detail, but how do we bridge the gap and make it so much more simple? Half the battle is getting the data in. The second battle is doing something with that data at the same time. So on this slide here, we've got 4 columns. On the gray side of it is really around the idea of fulfillment. How do we fulfill that order? How do we connect to third-party 3PLs and so forth to find the best shipping and routing mechanism to send that order, okay, the most cost-efficient manner. On the right hand, on the last column, we have inventory. That is simply to be able to surface live, real-time inventory to your customers, to your buyers, anywhere, wherever they are. But the focus today is really around answering that simple question around order servicing. Not just where is my order, but how do we do things like cancellation returns. So the first column is typically around the adjectives, around creating the order, capturing the order, process something. But the second column is really around the verbs of doing something with the order itself. The classic, how do I change? How do I cancel? How do I amend? Simply do order appeasements. And we'll go through this for the course of this session today. We'll talk about how easy it can be in a future state world, a version of utopia, to blend this all together, just make it more simpler to answer that question of not only where's my order, but actually change what is typically known as a cost center, as a service center, to answer those questions, but change them into a revenue driving center, to actually take them from spending 13 clicks or 30 minutes to get an answer to actually talking to the customer about their business, upselling to that customer. That 80-20 rule of business, which is 80% of customers provide 20% of revenue, and therefore they should go for a simple self-service model. And then there's 20% of the customers where they buy 15 million elevators or 15 million diapers, whichever option we go with.
Probably diapers, yeah.
It should be that white glove treatment. If we go to the next slide, we have a vision of utopia or a version of utopia. But that is simply creating a single view, not only of the customer, but their related information. We're all part of Dreamforce today. You've seen many sessions over the last couple of days, and you'll see loads more. But the preface of Salesforce is to create a singular view of that customer and all information related to that customer. Whether I'm a sales rep, whether I'm a service rep, whether I'm an operations manager, whoever I may be, when I get a call from that customer, I should know all the information in one place. I don't have to play that dangerous game of going into an ERP, messing about here and there, capturing notes. I'm actually seeing all that information on one screen. On the left or right side, we'll see on the right side of the screen is simple actions. They're the order servicing actions to actually take a service or sales rep, because a sales rep doesn't need to take that sales rep's question. They could do it themselves now. Here you've got this service console. This could be an order management console, or it could be the sales console. It could be any console. Because it's built on the platform, order management is native, and it can be pushed and published anywhere. Okay, so we just benefit from the same tooling.
Can you go back one, if you don't mind? Siggy, because I'm going to share. I shared this yesterday. It's a quick story. So my daughter, she's 19. So she was going to a Thomas Rhett concert, and she had to get these particular cowboy boots, right? So she, yeah, for sure. So she ordered the boots, and they're not cheap, right? So we'll just say they're $300 a pair. So she orders these boots. They come to the house. They're the wrong size. So she emails, calls back, I forget what happened, to customer services. Hey, I need to return these boots. They're the wrong size. Oh, we don't have your size in stock. But send us back the boots, and when the right size comes in stock, we'll ship you the new boots. So she's like, okay, sends them back, doesn't hear anything. She goes online, she sees that the boots for her color that she wants and the size she wants are in stock. So she calls up, she says, hey, what do I do? Like, you have this credit. And he said, because they just credited the money. They didn't refund the money on my credit card. So the customer service rep says, all right, we'll just reorder them. And then we'll flush out the difference in the cost, because she got them on sale. They were like $280 on sale instead of $3, whatever. But anyway, no, it's whatever. Yeah, do not get me started. So she orders the boots, and within 2 minutes she realizes she sends them to the wrong address, because she's in school in Southern California, so she wanted to go to that address instead of the other address, right? So this is within 2 minutes. She calls back and she says, hey, I need to change the address on that order because I put in the wrong one. The answer was, we can't do that. So when you get the boots, call back, we'll do an RMA, we'll take the boots back, and then we'll ship you the other ones. And she's like, these are 19-year-old problems, right? She's like, Dad, the concert's on whatever date. I can't wait for the boots. So we order another pair of boots, ship those to the house. So all this gets worked out. It actually works out in our favor. So all this gets worked out. So if you look at it, basically there were 5 shipments that happened. The boots that were the wrong size to the house, the boot returned back to them, the wrong address shipment, the wrong address shipment back to them, and the right address, right? So 5 different shipments have happened. Let's just call them $50 a pop. So $250 in shipping that the boot manufacturer is going to eat. They end up basically crediting all the boots. So my daughter gets a free pair of boots out of this whole deal, but it was because their systems are disconnected, and they couldn't do something as simple as change address. Like within 2 minutes of her ordering it, she said, hey, I screwed up. I just need to change the address. And the answer was, can't do that. So you have to order another pair of boots, or wait until you get those, ship them back, and we'll ship you another pair. Like, so now, and you said it yesterday, it's like,
right.
yeah. Like, is she going to go back to them and get another pair of boots? I don't know. Maybe, because she got free. Now she knows how to get free boots.
And that's the way islands of data, islands of systems, just disconnected.
Yeah.
In that scenario there where the order is in a state of it hasn't been shipped, and therefore it can, through inventory availability and visibility, to see that there is availability to be able to send to her the next day or whatever that may be, and just change it. Just make that change request.
Yeah.
And those change requests, as we go to the next slide, is, on the surface, we talked about be able to create the order is quite simple. We receive an order. Order management isn't an order capture tool. It's an order processing, order fulfillment, order routing tool. And in that same way, this has got a journey of an example where a customer, it's a manufacturing customer, orders ball bearings and some other couple of parts. But the first part of the journey is just place the order. But as we know, a few days go past. This could be cowboy shoes. But in this scenario, she's placed different types of cowboy shoes, red, blue. I have no idea about cowboys. I'm British. But in this scenario here, she's ordered different types of parts. Now, she needs to cancel a part. We don't want to ship it to the customer and then request an RMA. It's too costly for us. And in many examples from manufacturing and any of the customers, it's more cost effective just to do the refund than to actually process the return itself and the shipping and all associated costs and time.
Most of the time what they do, if it's cheap, they're just keep it.
And that's very atypical of a industry, right? And depending on the size of the customer, the value of the order, 300 boots is probably worth getting back, but not giving away for free. But that's another. Come to us later for the brand name as well. But in this scenario, what you'll see as we go through the journey, in order management, we start to collect that history and change. We call it the notion of fulfillment orders. We'll associate fulfillment orders to the number of items they are ordering, not the type. So if they're ordering part A, part B, or boot A, boot B, whatever there may be, you'll start to see a proliferation of order change. Okay, that could have been an exchange, a return, a cancellation. But at the end of the journey, what you'll see is either we've returned the order, we've completed the order, but within the order itself, we've now supplemented it with a huge array of information related to the change of information that the customer had to go through, and that we can learn from that experience the next time round. Therefore, now in this scenario, we've understood what her location is, the right shoe size. In this example, yesterday we talked about the idea of data personalization, data cloud, understanding the buyer, understanding the customer, and understanding what is the right shoe size. When does she need this? Oh, she's going to go to a concert. What about next year? We can try and send $320 worth of boots.
Please, yeah.
Like that, right?
Yeah, please.
And if we go to the next slide, this is the nirvana, the simple idea of being to have a connected system. Yeah. That's the big question mark. To have a connected system, and we'll go through that with Jabba, is actually getting the data connected is key. Doing something with it is nirvana. But it's not nirvana. It's easy. In order management today, we typically see that process in multiple locations. In an ERP, homegrown solution. We're starting to see it in customer service applications. In the past 20 years, customers of Service Cloud have started to build out a custom front end to order management because they didn't want to go into that ERP to request information. They started to flood the system with fulfillment orders, invoicing, shipping. What we do now with order management is take it to that CX layer. It doesn't need to be a back-end system. We know OMS is at the heart of commerce, understanding the customer, where they are, wherever they're going to go across all channels, and to provide an omni-channel service is the goal of what a successful OMS should have. And in this scenario, it's about just simply connecting the dots. So in that buyer journey, the sales rep can see all the order history related to that B2C customer or to the B2B buyer, and then be able to talk to them about future purchases, upsell, cross-sell, order entry, order on behalf. It could be the sales rep or in the service rep. From a customer service perspective, it's quite simple and clear. Take the customer through a simpler process in minutes, in seconds. You want to cancel an order? Absolutely, no problem. Let me just go ahead and go through a guided screen process to process that return. If it's an exchange, let's try to upsell, because we can see what they've bought in the past and use the analytics. We can understand the preference and buying behavior. Mm-hmm. And the right-hand side is really around marketing. Because we're simply building that data inside the platform, it can be used across any system of engagement or record that you have connected. Go to the next slide.
Yeah. So I think if we add it all up, right, the keynotes that we saw yesterday, and I think everybody saw the keynote, right? And if you haven't, please see the keynote. There's a lot of great vision there. When we come here to Dreamforce, right, the idea is not just to learn about things, but I think the bigger idea is to get inspired and sort of know the art of possibilities. And I think if we add up the whole conversation here, all the stuff that Bhup said, and the whole shoe example, and what we saw yesterday with the Williams-Sonoma and all that, if you add it all up, like there's one word that sort of summarizes it, right? Which is experience. What kind of experience do we want to create for our customers, for our partners, for our employees, so that they can create more enterprise value, right? And the data is one element of it, but you can argue the most important element, because data is an asset. And what you do with the data is up to you. Whether you can, your ability to generate the AI models and push the data on an AI model, and then it can generate some amazing experience for a customer. All of that is just like Amazon.com. Customers are not going to wait for you to deliver that. They will expect you to deliver that. And it's coming faster than anything else, because the innovation is on a log an exponential curve, right? It's not on a linear curve. So if I'm using ChatGPT, I'm going to expect that kind of experience now from the apps that I'm going to use. If you go to Amazon.com, it already now summarizes all the reviews of the products. Please see it. Any product you see, so it will have 1,000, 2,000 reviews. It will give you a small little paragraph. It will say, most customers are saying that it's a good product, ease of use, but this little thing is not working well. So now you don't have to go down, page down, page down, page down, look at all this stuff. Well, guess what? The customer who's going to buy your products now is going to start expecting that. And that's what we play, and that's why we have this whole campaign around no bad data, right? And that's why we talk about trusted data, which is we are doing our part at enosix to ensure that the data that is locked up in your back office, in your SAP instances, and Siggy, to your point, it's not usually one. I've been in customers and transformation programs where there's been 30, 40 orgs in SAP with different, different geographies, different languages, and so on and so forth. The point is the hard work is done. So you can unlock the data, bring it to the front-end system, and do everything that we just talked about, right? Giving status to the update to the customer, push it to an AI model, create some Gen AI, push it to an AI model, create some predictive stuff. I know you're looking at the watch, so I think we are running slower than we need to. So let's go to the next slide. And this is the architectural view, logical architectural view of the nirvana that Bobs was talking about, right? Which is pulling the key data, the order management, the ATP available to promise, the variant configuration, all of that stuff in real time from SAP via Mulesoft in a very easy way, so that you can bring and push that trusted data into your system of engagement, which is Salesforce. And then it can do its magic, right? It can do the stuff that we all saw Mark talk about and show yesterday. We all saw Parker show and talk about yesterday. So we can do that. Next slide, please. And again, we are serious about this, and that's why our whole campaign and messaging is very simple, which is no bad data. We guarantee 100% accuracy. We don't do ETL, right, which is extract, transform, and load, which can create issues with the data. We are point to point, and we'd be glad to talk about it. We have a bunch of smart people here. Next slide, please. It saves implementation time of up to 74%, 90% average reduction in custom development. We have done the heavy lifting, and it brings a tremendous amount of value. Next slide, please. So this basically shows that trusted data, right here. So if you want to go here, which is the nirvana, transform customer experience, which trusted AI is part of it. This is all that Salesforce is talking about. You need to make sure that your CRM and your Gen AI models and your legacy data are connected and humming, right, working well. And this is where we come in, which is we bring that trusted data to the party.
It's creating that happy path.
It is, absolutely. And I have a quick 2-minute video that Chris, sitting right there, has created. This is another way of showing it, right? Front office, which is where the order capturing happens. This is where your commerce is, where your ERP ordering is. This is where your daughter, picked up the phone. That was a customer service rep, right? That was on the green, one of the green boxes there. And the middle office was not connected, right? Which is inventory and all that. And the back office was not connected. So this is a great example of creating an awful customer experience. And it doesn't just stop with an awful customer experience. It is bloody expensive. They lost money on selling those shoes, right? Those shoes cost them, instead of making whatever, like 20, 30% of margin, it cost them probably minus $200% in cost, right? So it was a terrible, terrible transaction for them, right? Next slide, please.
And terrible employee experience too. So
Yeah.
it's your customers,
She was
but
just
also
as
your
frustrated.
employees.
That's really
especially
important,
too.
right?
Yeah.
Because the employees don't want to work in places like that. Like who wants to show up on a Monday morning and know that I'm gonna have to listen to customers complain about stuff and have to credit and all? I mean, do you want to show up to that on a Monday morning? I
It's
don't.
not just customers, sales reps.
Everybody, right? The whole value chain absolutely hates their lives because it's horrible. Right? And the thing is,
Oh my gosh.
you don't have to, right? Like you honestly don't have to. So why do it, right? It requires work, it requires some vision, it requires some innovation. But that's why we're all here, right? To kind of get that vision, to get that inspiration and innovation, right? And I would request the video to be played.
enosix introduces Customer 360 for Salesforce, the industry-leading experience platform, providing unified data and unified customer experience. enosix combines the usability of Salesforce CRM coupled with the power of SAP ERP. Together, gain a full view of your customer with data that's 100% accurate, delivered in real time, virtually. This means no data replication and costly storage. Let's check out the key features of enosix Surface for Customer 360 and introduce how trusted data, trusted CRM, and trusted AI transform the customer experience. Surface consists of native Salesforce Lightning components that render data virtually from SAP. Additionally, take those insights a step further and view all of the related SAP business partners, including bill-to and ship-to locations. Surface also provides an advanced search capability to search and view any sales doc in SAP. And there's much more. Surface makes it easy to view related SAP sales documents in Salesforce. Documents such as orders, deliveries, invoices, quotes, and contracts. Open any document and gain full access to all of the details, just like you were viewing this in SAP. Order line item details are also available, showing all of the SAP pricing details. Real-time delivery status is also a click away. Need to manage changes to orders like quantity updates? enosix makes it easy to always have trusted data, up to date in real time. This is enosix Surface for Customer 360. 100% data accuracy, delivered in real time, virtually. Key customer insights and SAP documents. Trusted data, trusted CRM, and trusted AI transform the customer experience. Have an amazing Dreamforce event. Thank you.
All right, can we go to the next slide? I think that's the anchor slide, right? Oh, these are the folks that we work with. So Bosch, Sonos, Leica, a bunch of these logos that you've seen. So, all right. So, any thoughts, comments, questions? Don't you all come at the same time?
We're in a safe space.
I can start by asking.
Yeah.
So maybe one of you can tell an example of problems you were able to, problem you saw at a customer, or you experienced yourself as a customer, and how you were able to solve it with integration and implementing technology?
I mean, I'll go.
Go for it, yeah.
From a quick example, and I'll go back to the very beginning of it, right? Just surfacing order history information and order information in real time inside of Salesforce is that engagement layer. For me, was huge within my company to be able to do that, because if you go back, no, don't go back. If you go back to the screen that had the percentages, right? That's 70% and the other one. That's if you can eliminate that, the efficiencies gained right there it's huge. Now my customer service team doesn't have to be worrying about answering a salesperson's questions. They can actually worry about, the quality of an order that went out to a customer and spend their time focusing on that, not answering a question. So for us, it was a game changer, because then it also allowed sales to be able to go into Salesforce and see the order history. Is it a waiting schedule? Is it scheduled? Is it in production? Whatever the status was coming out of my ERP, to be able to see that and share that with the customer, because oftentimes, I think you said it, the customer has a relationship with a salesperson, but the customer also has a relationship with that customer service person inside your organization. So it's hit or miss who they're going to call. So let them call whoever they want to call, and then they're going to get the same answer no matter what, because internally they're looking at the same information.
Yeah. I'll give a similar example. So network manufacturer here in California, you've probably seen their stuff in this building. So I'm not going to name the name, but their whole returns management used 68 systems. Their returns was all over the place. It was extremely expensive, because the customer would put a call in and say, my NOC, or my network operating unit, right, it just went out, so I need some help. So people would show up. It depends on who sold it. The partner sold it. They sold it. Anyhow, it incredibly expensive, not knowing what the issues really were. The systems didn't talk to each other. And we came in, and the customer wanted us to start the conversation at can we look at the process and optimize the process? And we said, yeah, we can absolutely talk about optimizing the process. But why do we start at the process? Why don't we start at the experience, right? So let's talk to 2 or 3 of your main customers, and let's talk to them about the experience that they want when they have issues and return. And that's where we started. And we retired, I think, 38 or 40 systems during that whole process, and made the system really, really integrated and all of that. So technology and integration and all of those things, I think, is 90%, 95% there. I think we just need to ask bigger questions and not sort of just do a lift and shift, right? So I think that's a challenge that we have. Let's ask the hard questions, not the easy questions.
So it intrigued me mentioning like surfacing variant config information from SAP. One issue that we've been struggling with is pricing, like contracted pricing and pricing hierarchies. So customers associated with a larger network.
Yep.
And they need, and that parent contract has pricing for certain products, but then other products the customer's just ordering ad hoc. And so when we're using, we have CPQ and we're trying to get pricing, we have this insanely complex ETL process, right?
Yes.
To go do all these calculations, figure out which price should be retrieved for which part. Just wondered, if this could be useful for that.
Yes, absolutely. So variant configuration and variant configured orders is a huge use case for us, because like you said, it is an absolute pain in the butt to recreate that and recreate that entire logic to come up with the right pricing, and 5 to 6 times out of 10 times is actually wrong.
Wrong anyway.
Right?
And so it ends up dragging our approval processes out, because we have to have operations teams and finance teams double check to make sure that it actually came to the correct price.
Absolutely. So we can do that. We can actually get the right pricing from SAP and pull it in. So you don't have to do any of that stuff. Alex, we should talk.
Yes, we should.
James, Chris, we should have that conversation.
Yes.
There, a lady in the back, you had a question?
Yes,
Yeah. Who wants to take that? Somebody smarter than me from enosix, because I don't know that use case. OCR automation?
Yeah, we actually have a customer we're working with right now that has OCR for order entry. So one of the avenues is, obviously there's the Salesforce order entry, but separate of that, you've got orders coming in through EDI, and the intake of those orders is happening through OCR. So what we're doing and what we're working with them on is how do we connect the OCR technology that's taking, whether it's a handwritten order or however it's working, it's digitizing the order, and now we have to enter the order into SAP. So the order entry into SAP is where enosix becomes involved, because we have connectivity universally. So that OCR system is still going to remain intact because that's transforming the order to go into SAP. But to hand off to SAP and all of the validations that happen, that's the part that we're supporting. We can talk a little bit more about like the architecture, but I think it's a really promising area, especially when you think of SAP. There's multiple ways you can place an order than companies are managing orders, and enosix is helping kind of centralize and greatly simplify how all of those systems communicate into SAP.
The next question is like retrieving or shipping documents part of it, or what does it actually sit in the process? So normally in like if you sell something to the customer, we will also have shipping documents like bill of lading, invoices for them.
Yeah.
So the retrieval of all these documents, first question is where is it stored, and then how do you kind of pull all this together? And so I presume there was supposed to be a service catalog for the customer to kind of retrieve shipping documents, for instance.
Yeah, so it was briefly in a video there. The video went pretty quick, but the majority of our customers gain tremendous value from this relationship they have with SAP because they can view information virtually without having to worry about replication. Deliveries is a big part of that. So if you're managing deliveries in SAP, your bill of lading, whenever that information is updated, they have real-time visibility to look kind of through the window within Salesforce to see the delivery status. You'd have shipping number and any shipping updates. And a lot of our customers have logistics add-ons to SAP. All that information is accessible through whatever front end you're using, such as Salesforce. But the benefit is you've got this window into viewing that in real time, as opposed to replicating it in another system and having some delay via whatever the batch timing is. So that's a very big use case, but it's the same value proposition of viewing an order is viewing the status of the delivery of that order as well.
Right. And I would just add one point, which is SAP is not an island in itself, right? SAP is hub and spoke. So there's a ton of different systems, whether it's logistics information, whether it's supply chain information that is connected to SAP. So we can pull any of that through the SAP interface, right? So it's actually kind of opens up a huge opportunity and pulls that information in your system of engagement, like Salesforce. Go ahead.
Yeah, so my question is just on piggybacking on the shipments and the invoices and stuff. In SAP, you have a certain look for your company, so will it utilize the same format and everything that you currently have in SAP, or do you have to recreate the look of the invoice and everything again? Or can it just utilize what's already in SAP and just play that to the customer?
Yeah, I mean, this video is legit, right? It will actually just pull in. You don't have to, if you need to change, you can, but you don't need to change any of that. So
it uses whatever SAP
Yeah.
was designed for and legal approved.
Yeah, the data is not replicated. In this specific, it's not replicated. It's coming from SAP.
yeah,
From
it's
SAP.
completely virtualized. So you can show it.
Displaying whatever's in SAP, there's no.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you're hub and spoke and you have other platforms that are pulling in SAP, you're really just worried about that connection between SAP and Salesforce because it's going to pull that in.
Yeah. Does that answer your question? Yeah?
And
Well,
maybe
virtually.
one quick add-on to that. As part of that service, we can view everything in real time, but we can also run a print spool command from within Salesforce. So if a customer is requesting an invoice, you can actually download the PDF native to the Salesforce experience. And again, this is all done without data replication. We can demonstrate it
and show you how that works. But a great question, and again,
Yeah, and we have a demo org downstairs, right, on the first floor, right in the back. So please come by, and we can actually show it to you. So awesome, please.
This is regarding the orders, and the order being created in Salesforce that has like maybe 50 line items 50 line items in an order. So when I send that order to SAP using the interface what I have currently, but SAP is creating 50 independent orders rather than creating one order with 50 line items.
Right.
When it is coming back, I'm getting all those 50 independent orders into Salesforce. Right, when it is coming to reorder, right, then they don't know. I have an order with 50 line items. I want to do just a reorder with all the 50 line items going by order. Okay, line by line, add this to my reorder. How you guys see that to resolve that issue so that when I send an order to SAP, create just order with header, all the line items, then when I want to reorder, just go to header or just order and add all those lines and make a reorder process.
I think you answered the question, which is through the header, right? Because the header is going to be replicated in those order, so you can compress it and bring it back and show it as one, right?
And best practice would be to create one order in SAP with multiple lines, not to create
50 orders.
But if there is a use case where you absolutely have to, right, not under, so we can easily do that because the header is, it's just one to many relationship, right? So you can just bring it back. So
is the limitation the way I'm interfacing SFDC to SAP, or it's just a limitation in SAP itself, creating multiple orders with all those line items? I'm not an SAP guy.
That's a configuration in SAP. So it's not a limitation on our end, right? We're just the bridge. So it's up to, it's how it's configured. And to Siggy's point, if it's configured like that, you have to have a really, really good business case for why that's the case, rather than compressing it in one order, right?
This is very I have not seen this kind of situation. I've seen sometimes where you have to split, a couple of lines maybe, but this is not a regular use case.
Lady up here, yeah.
So we've talked a lot about how this helps kind of streamline the logistical part of it, but have you seen any customers gain any efficiencies? I mean, service teams have typically very high attrition. 4 months of training to 4 minutes, that's a huge operational efficiency. So have you seen any attrition rates go down because you've improved that, internal experience for the...
Huge, absolutely. I mean, the internal experience gets better, retention gets better, the CSAT improves because you're not answering the same questions over and over again, right? The customer, and then the best part is that those CSR are then not just focused on solving problems, but actually and this is what we talked about, right? Taking a cost center and transferring into a revenue center, right? So talking about, hey, you're having this issue, fine, this is the answer. But by the way, have you thought about this? And I think that those really open up a lot of conversations, right? And that's a key thing, which is when you arm the CSR with all of this key information, and again, Gen AI has going to play a huge role in it because it will open up some of those conversations automatically. So because right now it's in the CSR's brain if they bring that up or not. But if it's in front of you and say, talk about all these things, right? Because the Gen AI is going to...
It's no longer on the 50 system.
No. Right.
Click the button, it's going.
It's going, right. The focus is on opening up the opportunities, right?
It's a natural evolution, right, in terms of the CSR, where they just
Right.
take away the redundant time that they have to spend on tasks that just needs to be automated.
Yeah.
Well, not to mention it's a better experience. They're there longer. They can have
Correct.
those conversations because they're not fumbling through that terrible, what did you say, hating your life?
Yeah.
I mean, who wouldn't is what he said.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't?
Well, even an example of like my daughter's boots, where she actually contacted because she was texting this customer service rep, said, hey, I'm letting you know, like, we didn't pay anything for these boots. And the customer service rep was just like, keep them. She didn't say, let me go ask my manager what I should do. It was like, she's probably gone, I'm done.
This is too hard.
I'm done. I'm out. Like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Have your free boots.
Yeah.
I'm out.
I know what I'm going to have to
Yeah.
do if I actually bring this up, so I'm just going to pretend I didn't get it.
Exactly. So now you're back to that, that internal user experience. And she's just writing off, $300 pair of boots and $250 in shipping costs and not even caring.
Yeah.
It's also looking at the satisfaction of the customer, but satisfaction of the CSR rep as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a happy rep
Goes to
means
longevity.
happy performance,
Yeah.
longevity, reduced attrition. They don't want to move. They don't want to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which,
Bri, do we have one more question? We have time? All right.
Nicholas has a question.
I think the gentleman.
Oh,
You got
You
the mics
mentioned
now.
before that 50% of the time is to get the data onboarded, and then you act on the data and try to use all kinds of tools in Salesforce to help you, right? So, I mean, with this tool that you have in mind, you spoke about here, how much time reduction and what's a typical kind of projects
Oh my
duration
God.
to kind of connect to the existing SAP system of, and also bear in mind that we also have a industry solution on top of it, right? So like industry, oil or mining on top of it. So is there any sort of timeline
Yeah, I
to
mean,
get it
we
done?
showed one of the slides. I think
yeah.
it's 70 to 90% compression in time.
Yeah.
So we can open it up right away.
Like
in weeks,
how many
in
weeks?
days and weeks.
Days and weeks we can get it
Days and
connected.
weeks, yeah. Days and weeks.
The second question I have is regarding SAP, right? We don't know there are two different SAP these days. One is ECC.
Oh,
and the other
great
one is,
question. Thank you.
HANA
Yeah.
S4. So how this product can help us to expedite
Yeah.
our transformation, right? From the
It's
old to the new
completely
SAP.
portable. So if you are on S4, if you're on ECC and you implement it there and you want to push it to HANA, it's completely portable. So you don't have to redo any of that stuff. So
Is your
yes.
Nicholas? Is your because I met with Nicholas and his team just earlier. So is your question more about being able to figure out what going from ECC to S4 HANA and thinking about what things should we peel out of? Is that more your question?
Yeah, that could be, I mean, the follow-on question, but I'm looking at maybe if we do retain the whole SAP landscape before we peel off anything, right? And if assuming that S4 HANA, we're going to still use the sales order, in that sort of scenario, we will look at using this tool to kind of update both systems, maybe for a couple of months where we have parallel run.
Totally.
And then at some point of time, we cut off the old one, and then we move on to the new system. So this could be that
is the
kind of like
approach.
a conduit, right?
That is the right approach. That's the approach that customers take. And just one key data point, that ECC and CRM7 is end of life in 2027. A lot of customers are trying to move to HANA. Some will be able to do it. A lot of the bigger ones are not going to be able to do it. Okay, they just won't make it. So we can create that beautiful bridge until you kind of sort it out, so that your front office and the innovation that needs to happen with your customer doesn't stop because your back office is on a different transformation path, right? So we can make that happen.
Yeah, and then back to Michael's question, I think this is also a strategy that we can adopt. Maybe if we assuming SAP as the final state in S4 HANA, or maybe could be another system that we have in mind, and we can just write the same sort of data into their database, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Good.
And
Thanks.
we're at time.
Yeah.
So I have.
We're getting the hook. All four of us are getting hooked.
Bree is slowly walking closer and closer. We'll give it another 5 minutes, and she's going to
Bree
be
is
here and say,
amazing.
"Get up!" No,
Bree
Bree,
is
thank you.
amazing
You
keeping us on
do.
track.
All of you guys, by the way, a round of applause for our Optima friends for doing this. So thank you.